What's up, y'all? My name is Karina Cook. I am a tax and financial strategist. I'm a CEO, a businesswoman, a faith-led businesswoman at that. What's up, y'all? It is your host, Karina Cook. Welcome to another episode of Evolving Out Loud. And listen, y'all, we are here in the fourth quarter. It's getting real. And I don't know about you, but this is the time of the year where people either are checked in or they checked out. They're letting things float by and they're not actually doing quarterly meetings or just realizing where they are with their business. And then come tax season, they're like, oh, hey, oh my goodness, I owe that much over and over again. So today we're going to talk about what you can do right now before the year ends to help finish off strong and not feel stressed and depressed. Okay. I think what I want to talk about is what most people get wrong about year end. And it happens and they wait until it's too late. They start panicking in January like, "Oh, so I should have did this. I should have bought that." But the truth is, y'all, fourth quarter, when the time comes to prepare, it comes to prepare. Not panic, not get scared, not get stressed. And this is the time to really look at what's actually going on in your business. What came in, what went out, and what's still in the middle. What transitions do you really need to make? Think about like, what transitions do I really need to make? Because a lot of the times the year didn't, it may not have gone as planned. Maybe you made way more money this year or in this last quarter. Maybe you actually didn't hit the projected goal that you wanted to. So, y'all, this part right here, you don't want to skip it because you want to be able to take inventory of where you really are and know what you really did, how much you made, not what your Stripe or your Shopify or your Zelle accounts, whatever you're using says. You want to actually know what hit the business account and what stayed there, because there's the expenses that actually came out, but what is your profit? What does it look like on paper versus what you projected? And what did you really pay yourself? Did you pay yourself? Should you be looking at strategies right now that's going to help you? What did you spend that you didn't need to spend? Or that you did need to spend? Getting ahead of the game before the end of the year is always going to be the goal. Okay. I get clients that come to me at the end of the year and it's December 31st and they want a miracle to happen. And life doesn't work that way. And if you do get a strategist who is, then to God be the glory. Because for what we're doing, you have to really know, one, what your revenue is, right? How much money did you actually make versus the profit that you were stuck with? And that profit, what are you going to pay taxes on? Now, if you were proactive during the year, you have a tax strategist, then you're good. And a lot of the times we're still looking at if there was an influx in cash or anything that still happened in the last quarter that we didn't prepare for in the beginning of the year or the mid year, right? Or in third quarter, things happen. So this is where you want to know what it is. And when I say actually pay yourself, not everyone is a corporation, but if you're making enough money past 50,000, then you should be looking at if you have actually paid yourself or what you need to pay yourself. And I want to make it clear that taking business, if you are a LLC, you're not a corporation, you're just taking money out of your business, that's just distribution, right? That money still is taxed. And so that's not necessarily you're paying yourself or you're just taking it out and being taxed on it. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actually paying yourself a salary and what that actually looks like. So really the question you want to ask yourself is like, what is the smartest move that I can make right now that will set me up for tax season? And tax season comes very fast. And we all know this because right when tax season's here, everybody's like, oh, that came fast. Trust me, we get it all the time. So this is your window and area of opportunity where you can still make moves. See, what we do in the beginning of the year, we start to plan and right after April, we start to make sure that we're like, okay, what does it look like? And then like let's project, right? And then towards the middle of the year, like the second to third quarter, it's like, okay, things are getting real. Are we hitting the hammer on the nail? What does it look like? What are the final numbers? Did you achieve the things that you're doing this year? And there's certain subtle things that you would be doing throughout the year before third and fourth quarter, depending on the strategies. Some may not need crazy things. You're just doing one offs, but the better you are aware of what's happening, the more you set yourself up for success. But the real action starts to happen right now. Okay, where are we now? Are the projections right? You want to know if you're making last minute business purchases, or what does that look like? If you're going to owe, do you need to make more contributions now? If you're putting off paying yourself, do you need to fix it at the year end so it looks right on paper? And please, y'all, don't just be buying random stuff just to write it off. Y'all know how I feel about that. That's not a strategy. That's just panicking and spending money unnecessarily. And we're about being intentional, building a legacy, and building wealth, not just going to buy stuff. Now, if there is a vehicle or some type of asset, equipment that you need, that is part of an asset. That is something that's a smart way to spend money. But what I'm saying is, I'm not just going to go unnecessarily spend something that is not going to return on investment, or I'm going to think about things that need to happen next year that maybe I need to start looking at putting into this year. But this is something that is more forecasting, right? Which we'll talk about in another episode of budgeting, forecasting, and what bookkeeping actually looks like. And so that is something I will touch on. But, you want to have those things, those ideas of, okay, what does it look like? If it's not already written, this is what you need to know, that this is what prepares you for tax season and what you should be planning for. And so those contributions and how much you're going to owe is going to be very important in this time, right? We're here, y'all. Time is ticking. It's ticking. And so the smartest thing that you can do is do that. Another thing is looking at your estimated tax payments, because this is important. If you don't really know and you don't have prior years that you made consistent to what you owe in taxes or what you've paid, then I'm always going to say, make sure you're doing estimated taxes just to have data on what you owe, how much you owe. And especially for you guys in the first or second year, it's important to just pay that so we can understand where you are and then make adjustments. So, did you pay the right amount of estimated tax? Do you need to accelerate some things? And so that is the top thing that I want to be what I want to be focusing on. Because if not, then you're going to wait to the last minute and then you're going to realize, dang, I could have saved thousands of dollars, depending on how much, if I would have done this even in the last quarter of the year. And so when you don't have a plan, everything is heavier. Everything is more stressful. I mean, you start moving out of fear, really, instead of moving in wisdom and understanding the steps and the options that you can take. And so you're not always in reactive mode, right? You're in proactive mode. When you're planning, you give your money and your mind direction, okay? You're in control, right? And so when we're doing that, I feel like that's where you find peace. That's where you find yourself not stressed out about first of all, why am I paying this much? How am I paying this much? And do I even want to pay this much? I think that's where the overflow starts, is when you do it in alignment and then you start having peace, because you're like, I did that already. I'm hitting my quarterly goals. I'm checking in to see where I am, but I've also made strategic moves to make sure that I'm paying the least amount, or I know ahead of time what I'm up against. One of the scriptures that I love with this is First Corinthians chapter 14, verses 40, when he said, let all things be done decency and order. Okay. Y'all, having things in order is going to be so much peaceful than just doing things out of not knowing. And don't get me wrong, you don't know everything, but I'm saying doing things just to do them. And I think eventually, when you start to do that, it becomes a habit, and that's how you actually start to run your business and run it in true CEO stages, because you're going back, you're looking at, because even when we talk about this in the next episode, even when we talk about this in another episode of budgeting, forecasting, and bookkeeping, things like that's a part of your CEO role. And as entrepreneurs, you can be a CEO, just so you know that. But it comes with being proactive and not reactive, and running your business in a way that also is going to prepare you for taxes. So, fourth quarter allows you to still have time to make money moves and adjustments. Okay. And still be intentional. Okay. And then also, not only that, you're able to use this money and see what other purchases you can make, but not force it. I'm not for forcing these things, because I think that it's just not a good feeling to just spend that in anywhere. So I want to leave y'all with a couple things. Here's what you can do, some key things that you can do before December 31st. And I'm not talking about December 30th, y'all. Listen, make sure you're reviewing your income, looking at your expenses, what you actually have. I hope that you are already categorized, have your books clean, because that's another thing. You want to make sure that that is up to date. You also want to check your payroll, check your owner's pay. How much did you actually pay yourself? Are you on track with that? Did you even hit that? Make sure that you're looking at your profit and loss statement. What does that truly look like? What does your balance sheet look like? And also schedule a quick tax strategy call or consult with someone before the year ends, so you have time. Okay? So I don't want you guys to let the year end pass you without looking under the hood. All right. You don't need to do everything all at once. Just start with knowing and being aware, because awareness is what's going to give you control. In the fourth quarter is where winners separate themselves, not by hustle, but by wisdom, y'all. It's not about doing more. Just be diligent with what you already have. And you have a gold mine. You just have to make sure that you are managing it. And this is part of managing it, right? So with that being said, this has been us evolving out loud, where we don't just make up money, we manage it with wisdom. And I hope that this has helped make things clearer on just the idea of where you can start, and share it with someone who you feel like maybe just winging it at the year end and they need a little bit of direction. Until next time, keep evolving. We are evolving out loud and doing it together. Peace, y'all. Exciting to say the least, and I'm happy that I'm doing it with you guys. Until next time, I love y'all, and welcome to Evolving Out Loud.